Disclaimer. The following is a video reviewing this week's episode of RuPaul's Drag Race. This is a review of what is presented to us by the producers and nothing more. This is not commenting on who the queens are as people, as I do not know them personally. This is just about what we see on screen. Any hateful comments about or towards the queens will not be tolerated and will be removed. Oh, and also this will obviously contain spoilers about this week's episode, so don't watch it if you haven't yet seen it. With all that said, hope you enjoy this video. Yours truly, ElliXia. Hello everyone, you're watching a new ElliXia series. Welcome to my Drag Race review. That's right, I've decided to be extremely groundbreaking and do something that no one's ever done before and do YouTube reviews of Drag Race. That's right, here's another Drag Race recap show for you to watch if you so please. This week we are going to be talking about Drag Race UK versus the World Season 1, Episode 1. I imagine you probably all know this already, but just in case you don't, this will contain spoilers for this week's episode. I know the majority of you will have already seen the episode, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this right now. But on the off chance there'd be that one person in the comments who's going to be like, oh, I haven't seen it yet. So there's your spoiler warning. There'll be spoilers for the entire episode. Also, just want to throw another disclaimer out there as well. I know that the season is pre-recorded and that there are spoilers out there for the rest of the episodes. I do not know any of those spoilers. I do not know what happens in the next episodes. So I would appreciate if anyone is going to leave a comment to not include any spoilers for future episodes, because I genuinely don't know anything about the future episodes, and I don't wish to until they air. So keep it all nice and cute and spoiler free for the future. Anything that's aired is fair game, but just, you know what I mean. Before we get into the episode itself, my history with Drag Race, I've been a fan of Drag Race since 2014. It was the summer of 2014. I just graduated from uni and I didn't know what to do with myself. My mother actually said to me, have you seen this show? And I was like, I've heard about it. And she was like, have a watch of this. And I loved it. And I was hooked straight away. I binged like all the seasons that were available at that point. And the rest is history. Here we are all these years later, all these seasons later, and I'm still a big fan. I know Drag Race has its problems, has its issues, of course it does. Overall, I really enjoy the show. I've also been meaning to do Drag Race recap videos now for like the best part of a year, because I was going to do one for UK Season 2, but on the day I was going to film my first video for the first episode, my makeup went really wrong and I just thought, screw this. And so I thought I'll do the next season. And then UK Season 3 happened and I legitimately forgot to do any videos. I think I got to about episode 3 when I was like, oh yeah, I was going to do video recaps, wasn't I? Oh well, next time. So here is next time. Third time is the charm, as it were. Before we get into the episode, also just want to say my name is ElliXia Q Valentine. If you like this video, please give it a like, a comment, a subscription. Do what you gotta do. If you want to follow me, there are links to my social medias in the description as well. So let's get on with the show. I've been excited for UK versus the World because I really like so many of the international franchises. I only really watched the international franchises aside from the UK and Canada for the first time last year. I kind of binge watched Holland, España and Thailand all in one go, and I really liked those seasons. I hope this season does well, because I would like to see future seasons where international queens can compete again and get a bigger platform. And episode 1 did not disappoint. A couple of issues with it here and there, but we will discuss this as we get to them. So the episode begins on the main stage of Drag Race, which is quite unusual. So I think it's the first time that we've ever had that. Instead of your traditional workroom entrances, you have your main stage entrances instead. Initially I thought, oh, this is quite nice. This is a change. You know, go on, treat yourself, Drag Race. Do something a bit different. Why not? Then it got to the bit where they actually left the main stage and entered the workroom. And I felt a bit like, oh, it would have been nice if they just did the workroom as normal. If it ain't broke. Yeah, the entrances were good. I liked the way how they did that reveal with the screen coming up. I thought that was quite cool. Would have probably been more effective if we didn't already know the cast going into the show. If that had been how they revealed the cast. But it was still a nice touch. And I always like seeing the queens react to each other when they see who's in the season. That's always a bit of fun. A highlighted entrance for me was Jimbo's with the toasty. I thought that was brilliant. I loved Blue Hydrangea's entrance look. She looked a bit like Marge Simpson on acid. Loved seeing Pangina enter as well. I thought Pangina might have like the biggest smile on my face when she was revealed, because I really enjoyed Drag Race Thailand, and there are some incredible next level queens on that show. So I really hope Pangina's appearance on UK vs the World will give that show some more exposure. Mo looked absolutely stunning as well, Monique Hart. Is she Monique Hart or is she Mo Hart? She says she's Mo Hart on Instagram, but on this they called her Monique, so I don't know whether the name change maybe came afterwards. But we'll call her Mo because that's what she wants to go by. As soon as the first silhouette was shown on that screen before it rose up, I was like, I know that is bag of chips. I just know it's bag of chips, like straight away. I wasn't massively keen on the look, but they do say a great character design is immediately identifiable by their silhouette. So that's something. Ru enters in on a cherry picker, which I thought was camp. Tells us that the rules are going to be the standard All-Stars rules with the top 2 lip syncing for their legacy to send the queen home as well. No cash tips, which is a shame because I do think, you know, the queen's put in so much work into Drag Race and spend so much money on it, and literally every other season has cash prize, so I think it's a real shame that we don't have one in the UK. I know it's something to do with the BBC. I don't entirely know why it's that way, especially since the BBC has game shows with cash prizes, so I don't know what the rules are. I don't know. If somebody wants to fill me in on that, be my guest. But fear not, instead of a prize, instead of a measly $100,000, the queens do get to sing a song with RuPaul, which they don't tend to do that anyway, normally, but they don't do like a straight up duet, do they? So I guess that's nice. And it's for comic relief and children in need. And I can remember back when I was a kid, if you were a British pop star and you were asked to do the comic relief or children in need single, that was a really big deal back in the day. Like, that was a sign you were doing really well and you were here for the foreseeable future. So we get into the workroom. There's some great little workroom moments. I really enjoyed the moment where Jujubee and Mo were scoping out the other queens. I loved Jujubee making notes. Didn't her note for Lemon say something like has lots of money next to it? I thought that was funny. I enjoyed the English slang lesson as well. It's always interesting to see people describe what a slapper is or what a minger is. Such a rich cultural exchange of our culture. And I liked that moment where they were in the mirrors and they were asking each other sort of like, what do you think of when you think of our country's drag? I can't remember who it was who said it, but one of them said they think of alcohol when they think of UK drag. And yeah, I can confirm that. So before you know it, we are on the main stage for the main challenge. Ru looks a bit like a Barbie doll, the way she's dressed. A lot of people didn't seem to like that look. I didn't mind it, but I am a huge slut for pink and yellow, so that probably clouded my judgment. I mean, like, I would absolutely wear the hell out of those leggings, so maybe that's just me. We have girl group legend Melanie C on the judging panel. I really liked Melanie C as a judge. I thought she gave great critiques, great feedback, but also I enjoyed her sly little digs at the fellow Spice Girls. This now means that every Spice Girl except for Victoria has been a guest judge on Drag Race. So Victoria, the ball is in your court. We have a talent show, which is also a fairly standard All-Stars routine. I have mixed feelings about talent shows in general. I think they are a good idea because ultimately to be a successful drag queen, definitely to be a successful drag queen on Drag Race, you need to have a level of talent. Because if you just look good, then you're not going to get very far on the show. So I think it's good that like episode 1, they do get to showcase. Because you also hear this, don't you, when, you know, like traditionally, episode 1 is a design challenge on like the main season. There's a lot of the time there'll be an element of like, oh, if only they got to see me perform, I would have done so much better. Well, now we do get to see you perform, so now you need to do so much better. The thing I don't like about the talent shows is, I think because we've had so many of them, they can get a little bit repetitive. There's a lot of queens doing lip syncs to songs that are usually in the same vein. You know, that thumping dance beat with "Come on, Ru, I'm here to snatch the crown," "Small town queen of the dream," that kind of stuff There'll be a bit of this going in there. I mean, I don't really vogue, as you can see. Dips and splits and kicks and all that. Which is actually a shame because when you think about it, to be able to do the splits out of drag is impressive. To be able to do it in drag is even more impressive. But we see it so much on Drag Race that it feels a bit like, oh, there's a split again. I mean, I can't do that. So, like, it impresses me, but we do just see it so much. But with that being said, let's get into the talent show performances. I'm going to be going in order, and I am also going to talk about sort of just their role in the episode overall, as well as just the performance. Up first, we have Lemon. Spoiler alert as well, just in case you didn't hear me the first time. Okay. That was your time to click off the video if you don't want to be spoiled. Lemon obviously was a bit of a controversial entity in this week's episode because she was the first to go. Lemon's performance, I enjoyed it. I have somewhat mixed feelings towards it. It was technically very impressive. We know that Lemon's a fantastic dancer. She's a professional dancer. She can move really well. She does choreography amazingly. But I saw what the judges meant. There was a bit of a lack of pizzazz about it, like in her face. It was all technically very good. I don't feel like it was maybe performed as well as it could have been. I did really like the moment where she said, "Don't jump if you're not going to split," and then, "But I'm going to jump and I'm going to split." But I liked that moment, and I thought the moment where she jumped off the whatever you want to call it, the big thing that she jumped off of, that was really good. I mean, that was very impressive. I couldn't do that at all. I thought that was going to be enough to save her. I personally, myself, wouldn't have put her in the bottom two, but we will get on to that as we come to the outcomes. Second, we have Mohart singing an original song. I liked Mo's performance. I don't know if she either had like vocals on the track or if she was doing having those microphones where you can have the filter where it makes it sound like there's more than one of you. Either way, I don't think she needed that. I think that kind of did the performance a bit of a disservice because Monique can really sing and she performed it really well. I think that vocal edit, whatever, would have been better without it. Mo was a solid safe for me performance-wise. Her runway, however, was absolutely stunning. That gorgeous green gown, that was finale level. That was amazing. So if that was episode one, amazing to think of what she will come up with in the upcoming episodes. We saw on season 10 of Drag Race that Monique did struggle with the runways, but it's paid off obviously because that runway look was absolutely gorgeous. Third performance of the night, we have Janie Jacquet representing Drag Race Holland. Now, I'll preface this by saying I really, really like Janie Jacquet. I thought she was fantastic on Drag Race Holland. She was a worthy runner-up, and I was very excited to see her on this season. So just remember all that. Okay. Her performance. When I was making notes for this episode, for Janie, just put a sad face. It just felt very flat, and like I know she can do better. It wasn't a bad performance by any means, but I do think it was the weakest of the night. And I'm glad that we have Janie for at least another episode, and obviously she didn't go home, so hopefully things can improve here on out. Number 4 was Bag of Chips with her Much Better song. I wasn't wild about this one. I want to keep it positive on this channel, but what I will say, when Monet Exchange on All Stars 4 did that sponge dress performance, she got criticised for relying on the shtick of the sponge. I generally am not a fan on like All Star seasons when queens do performances that heavily rely on a meme moment from their original season. But Monet Exchange got criticised for it. But Bagger got praised for it, and it's the double standard and the inconsistency that I don't like. They said to Lemon that, you know, they felt like they'd already seen it before. And I'm thinking, you've already seen this as well, like several times. And regardless of the performance, that runway look, I won't say too much about it, but I will just say I didn't realise that's what Oscars were meant to look like. But a thing that irks me about not so much Bagger herself in the episode, but you know, in the critiques she got told that she was out of sync with the lip syncing and all that stuff. Like, they pointed out a lot of flaws with both the performance and with the runway look, and they've like really chastised and punished queens in the past for making far less mistakes, and I'm thinking a bit like, you know what I mean? But moving on from that, we have performance number 5, Jimbo. Where do I even begin with Jimbo's performance? It was so bizarre. I think bizarre is too small a term to describe how much of a mindfuck that performance was. I loved it. The commitment to do a performance that's bloody weird and make it work, because if you think of it, that was a huge risk. That performance could have very easily just been completely lost in translation, and the judges would have been like, what the hell am I watching? I thought it was amazing. It was committed, it was bizarre, it didn't make any sense, but I can tell you, it made sense in Jimbo's head. It's one of those things where it's like, if you know what you're doing, and it's not clear to everybody else, but you know what you're doing, it doesn't matter, it's gonna be a great performance. And I also just really appreciated that it was something different. I loved the contrast in like sort of cutesy, upbeat music and then like the really scary, creepy stuff. It was such a juxtaposition, and I really enjoyed it. Definitely earned her place in the top 2 for sure. Then we had Cheryl Hole. Cheryl to me was a solid safe. I'll be honest, I pegged Cheryl as my first eliminated this time, and I am happy to eat my words. They taste very nice. Like I said before, I'm not really a huge fan of Queen sort of like rehashing the meme moments from the previous season. But Cheryl did a good job of it. I thought it was very sort of meta and very like self-aware, and she performed it really well. I think we forget sort of from all the memes and stuff that Cheryl actually can dance really well. I thought her runway look was very lovely as well. We then have our quadruple threat, Jujubee, performing an original song of hers. I liked Jujubee's performance. Jujubee was also a solid safe for me this week. I thought her runway was lovely. I thought her voice is really nice. She's got a very nice voice to listen to. It was very pleasant. She sang it well. It was nice to hear an original song that wasn't all Yes Queen, Mama worked the house down, boots snatched the crown kind of number. So I enjoyed it. I thought she was a solid safe. I've seen a few people on Twitter say that they thought she should have been in the bottom 2. I don't think so. I think she was safe. And Jujubee's just general presence is always really enjoyable. I think any season is enriched if she is there, and 4 seasons have been, so evidence supports the claim. Moving on to the penultimate performance, Pangina. I adored Pangina's performance. So she also did a song that was very much like, here's what I can do. But it was different for Pangina because Pangina had something to prove. There'll be a lot of UK viewers who probably haven't watched Drag Race Thailand as well. And even if they have, Pangina doesn't perform on that show, she's the judge. So we don't get to see what Pangina can do normally. And she's a wild card effectively because no one knows what she has been like doing a Drag Race season because she's never done it before. I loved the performance. I thought it was choreographed really well. I thought it was funny. I thought it was sassy. It was almost like a CV in a song. I thought she performed it so well. And when she did that split at the end, the way she executed that split, I gasped. And like I said before, we see so many splits on Drag Race where it's a bit like, okay, it's another split. But like the way she executed it was just flawless. She was my favourite of the week. Overall, across all categories, she was my favourite of the week, for sure. Closing the show, we had Blue Hydrangea with those puppet things. I don't know what you call them, but the puppets that are on either side. I really enjoyed it. It was something different. It was silly, it was camp, it was funny. It's what you'd expect from Blue Hydrangea, and I really enjoyed it. Anything on a Drag Race talent competition that is different, that isn't lip syncing or singing, I enjoy because I think it's good that you're taking a risk. I really liked Blue's runway look as well. When she said it was the comment about the BDSM troll having sex with a highlighter, yeah, spot on. I really liked it. I would wear the hell out of that. So Blue, if by any chance you are watching this video, I'll DM you my address. I do see what the judges meant about it not really fitting in the category. It didn't really fit the category, but I still really liked it. And that wraps up the talent show. So we have our queens, Mo, Cheryl and Jujubee are safe. Bagger and Blue are critiqued but ultimately deemed safe. Pangina and Jimbo are in the top 2 and Lemon and Jamie are in the bottom 2. I thought it was mostly fairly judged. Personally, just me personally, I would have not had Lemon in the bottom two. I think I would have put Bagger in the bottom two for the reasons that I said. But they obviously love Bagger. I did unfortunately think Janie was the right one in the bottom two. So the judges lip sync. The judges lip sync? No, they don't. I'd like to see that. The Queen's lip sync to Say I'll Be There with the Spice Girls. One of my favourite Spice Girls songs as well. So I was very pleased. I thought Pangina clearly won that lip sync. She did an amazing job with it. Bless Jimbo, she tried. It was actually funny when Jimbo got off the stage and Bagger said, well done. And she said, thanks, I did not do good. Pangina is the winner and Lemon is the one she chooses to eliminate. And Lemon is the first one to leave the competition. I have mixed feelings about the situation. I really like Lemon. A lot of my Twitter feed yesterday was people crying about Lemon's elimination. There was a lot of cries of her being robbed and it being completely unfair. I do agree in the respect that I wouldn't have put her in the bottom two myself. I can see their critiques. I saw what they meant, but I wouldn't have put her in the bottom two myself. And to be honest, I probably, if it was up to me, with that bottom two, Janie would have probably been the one I would have sent home. However, I really do like Janie, so I'm glad we get at least a second week of her. Lemon becomes the first queen of Drag Race UK vs the World to sashay away, and the episode ends. I was kind of hoping that maybe because it was the first episode and there's only 9 of them, that there wouldn't have been an elimination this episode. That would have been nice, but I'm not RuPaul, so life goes on. Lemon will be absolutely just fine. She was already such a huge fan favourite from Drag Race Canada, so she will be just fine. And that brings us to the end of my first Drag Race review episode. I hope you had a good time. I hope you enjoyed it. I have been ElliXia Q Valentine. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and do all that good YouTubey stuff. Leave a comment if you did like it. Don't leave a comment if you didn't like it. I'll see you same time next week when we review episode 2. Episode 2 actually airs on my birthday as well. So hopefully it will be good. Hopefully it won't ruin my 30th. And until then, stay safe, stay good, be nice to your local drag queens, be nice to your queens on Twitter. And if you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you gonna love somebody else? It doesn't work the same when I say it, does it? Thank you very much for tuning in. I've been ElliXia Q Valentine, and as always, please book me. Mwah.